morning and welcome to Hello Westchester here on WCHG 1130 to noon every Monday. I'm Eric Lambera, joined by Kara Corradoni, publisher of Hello Westchester. You can subscribe at hellowestchesterba.com. Good morning, Kara. How are you this morning?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
Doing good. Good to have you back on board. So I wanted to, before we get to our topics, you had recently, and we talked about this last week with the new events newsletter, and is that officially out now?
It is, yes. We sent our first one on Wednesday of last week. I think it went out pretty well. It was well received. We didn't promote it a whole lot, but we still saw a good number of people opening and reading. So I think we're going to continue with that. The next one will come out on Wednesday, and we're just going to make it a regular thing so that people can use it to, plan for the weekend. It's been requested because the newsletter comes out on Friday, midday. It can be a little bit tight for your weekend if you're looking to plan ahead, so this will just be events only.
And a good amount of responses, too, on your poll about morning or afternoon. An overwhelming amount of people said morning for that.
So now I have to get on that so I can get it out in the morning.
Right, and so listeners look out for that as well. In the meantime, we do have a lot to get to in today's program. The first thing we had was Westchester getting a decision on its stormwater management fee. Yeah,
so this has been long awaited. This case was heard by the PA Supreme Court late last year, and it was asked to kind of rule on the Westchester's stream protection fee. And the question here was, the basic question was it a fee? And as a fee, tax-exempt properties such as Westchester University would be obligated to pay it. Westchester University argued that it was not actually a fee. It should have been and follows the formatting of a tax, and therefore they were exempt from having to pay it. It had gone through the systems. The lower court did rule and sided with Westchester University, agreeing that the way it was structured was in fact a tax. The Westchester Borough appealed that decision. It was reviewed by the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, and that decision came a little over 2 weeks ago now. The upper court, high court, did agree with the lower court. They upheld the ruling on a fourth race. It was a split decision, but they basically had stated, the majority stated that the storm management charge constituted a tax because it benefits the general public rather than provide a specific service to a single entity, which is the legal distinction between a tax and a fee. So that was the decision. And we had that, I think, a week ago, but we really need to dig in a little bit to what does that mean. So this week I was able to speak with some of the borough officials, including Borough Manager Sean Metrick and Borough Council member Brian McGinnis, who's the chair of the Finance Committee. What does this decision mean practically for the rest of us here that live in the borough? What, on a very basic level, what it first of all means is that you still need to pay. So the ruling only answers the question of whether or not the stream protection fee, as it is named, is a fee. The court ruled it is not, as it is not, Westchester University doesn't have to pay it, but everybody and tax-exempt organizations likely do not have to pay it. If you're not a tax-exempt entity, you do still have to pay it, because the other thing that hasn't changed is that the borough still has to clean up the stormwater runoff. So there are state mandates about the stormwater and how it is managed. So municipalities across the state have to continue to take action to improve our waterways. As Westchester Borough Manager Sean Metrick put it, that hasn't changed. It's the classic unfunded mandate that they get a lot at the local level. So now they have these obligations that they have to fulfill, and they have to figure out how to pay for those. And those projects can be quite expensive, especially in area like Westchester Borough, which is small. It doesn't have large swaths of undeveloped land. That would be a lot easier to kind of implement some major changes to. Instead, they're taking a lot of smaller plots. Oftentimes, you've seen them, these rain gardens that get added to existing properties, or the bump outs that get added to sidewalk areas, but that involves digging up roads and checking things underneath. So they're quite expensive for what they are, and they don't always provide a lot of improvement. As Sean was saying, there's no magic bullet here. They have to do small incremental projects, and they're all going to be very expensive. So all that remains. So it has to get done, and the question now is, how does it get paid? Mm-hmm. Who's going to pay for it? So, my questions were, Westchester's doesn't have to pay. It's very likely the rest of the borough's tax-exempt properties don't have to pay.
Yeah, it sets a precedent.
Yeah, so it does set a precedent, and this is a case that's being followed across the state, probably across the country, because it's not the only entity having to deal with these types of issues. But, yeah, so it does set a precedent. And while Westchester University has not been paying into the stream protection fee, hasn't been paying the stream protection fee, other nonprofits have, or not nonprofits, tax-exempt entities have. So there is a question as to whether or not the borough is going to have to reimburse them. Not only will they not be getting that revenue going forward, there's a distinct possibility they're going to have to dip into current funds to pay them back. I did raise those questions, and while Sean Metrick agreed that they were good questions, he also said they don't have answers yet on how that's going to work. All they know is that Westchester University doesn't have to pay. That's basically, so the lawyers are digging into the language, digging into the responses by the justices, and trying to figure out what is next for the borough. So those are the big questions. And then the other question that remains is kind of, what options does the borough have? So if we can't rely on the tax exempt entities to pay in, and in the borough there's a good portion of them. So about a third of the land in the borough is tax exempt. Now that is not an exact comparison to stream protection contributions, because stream protection has to do with the amount of impervious land you have on your property. So it's not an exact comparison, but it'll give you a rough estimate as to how much revenue we are potentially losing here. So what other options are? Sean says there's a legislative remedy. So there is a bill. It's House Bill 990. It's in the state legislature that would allow municipalities to not only construct stormwater management systems, but also create a dedicated funding system to pay for them. So that would be one option. Of course, things that go through the legislative process can take a lot of time. So that is probably not a solution that will be available to the borough for many months, if not years. But it is an option. There is also another option that several universities across the state of Pennsylvania have been kind of pushing for. It's called a pilot program, and in this case, pilot stands for payment in lieu of taxes. It's a voluntary contribution that other communities with big educational presences have used to help pay for mutually beneficial services. And according to Brian McGinnis, this is something that Westchester has explored before. It hasn't gone forward, but the idea would be that Westchester University would voluntarily make a contribution to the borough each year. A couple examples of how this has worked in other places kind of might put it in better perspective, but like just last year, Penn State signed a 20-year pilot agreement with Center County, and that includes paying an annual $320,000, what they call impact fee, to the county. That fee will be adjusted every 2 years and will be used to cover areas in which Penn State, impacts that county, and it could be that. In that case, I didn't see how it was defined, but then there's a second one in the University of Pittsburgh, And they signed a similar agreement in March, and they were pledging $5 million to the city of Pittsburgh government over the next 5 years. So that's $1 million a year. And in their case, the money is earmarked specifically for parks, business development, and public safety. So those are a couple of options that the borough may have as they go forward. But right now, it seems like there's a lot of questions. Not a whole lot of answers yet, at least not from the borough. So we're going to have to wait. Sean said give them a couple of months. So they're going to review. They're going to get the lawyers' feedback probably this month's meetings, and then maybe have some more decisions on how they're going to move forward in the following months.
Yeah, and it does seem to what you mentioned, a lot of unanswered questions going forward. And according to the Daily Local, they said, like Westchester, almost 1/3 of the borough's footprint is tax exempt. And so you run into the issues of funding, which you touched on as well. So.
Yes. But as we said, like it's not a one-to-one comparison on the tax exempt thing. So it depends on how much impervious land there is under that. So, but yes, it is going to be a significant bite into the funding stream for that.
Right, so something to watch going forward. Westchester getting a decision on its stormwater management fee. And let's move over to the next chapter of the corner of West Gay Street and High Street is settled. So, of course, the old Iron Hill location.
This is an announcement many people have been waiting for. So last week we learned that the iconic Gay and High Street property that most recently housed Iron Hill is going to be Magerks. It's a Magerks Pub and Grill. So they're taking over the location. Magerks is a Maryland-based bar known for its Philly cheesesteaks. It has a similar origin story to Iron Hill. After founding a prime location in Baltimore's Federal Hill neighborhood, they transformed a run-down building into a vibrant corner hub, similar to what we saw Iron Hill do here in Westchester. They are planning a very large renovation within the building. So there's going to be a completely updated dining area, a bar area, the refreshed interior. There's going to be additional seating. They've already taken out all the beer making equipment, so that room is going to be freed up. I hear there's plans for extensive bar that runs the physical length of the building, which would be kind of cool. So lots planned there from them. And I actually did have a chance to talk to the owner of the building, John Barry, about the decision to move forward with Magerks. And there had been a lot of, chatter about Iron Hill returning after it was announced that Iron Hill was going to be opening locations in Center City and Wilmington reopening. I had asked if Westchester was one of the places considered for a Iron Hill rebirth, and he said yes, they actually did put in a proposal. They had a lot of interest on this property. One was from Iron Hill, but after careful consideration, he was just a little concerned about kind of that business plan going forward. There has been a decline in craft beer consumption, and that model does lose about a third of the space to the brewing equipment, so that's kind of a loss of valuable real estate there. The company that is bringing it back is actually based out of India, so this will be their first U.S.-based restaurant opening. So there was a little hesitancy there too, not being extremely familiar with the U.S. restaurant market. So for those reasons, he thought it was time for a change, and they went forward with Magerks. I am not particularly familiar with Magerks. I've not been, but I do see that we posted it on social. Generally, it seems people are pretty excited about this. I've heard some good things about the food there. I don't know, have you been?
I have not, but I know that there's one in Lionville, and I think 6 locations locally. Yeah,
there's several around here, so I think people have had some experience with it.
So I know fairly well established, it seems like.
Yeah, so they are pretty established. Hopefully they'll have a smooth transition here into Westchester, and a nice, another family-friendly location.
Right, and of course with the local note, they're famous for their cheesesteaks, and other similar to an Iron Hill as far as some of the food that they offer. I'm seeing cheesesteaks, pickles, nachos, jumbo, crab pretzels, and so should be a good spot in Westchester. And of course, that is a big corner where it's located. And
so a lot of space.
You need something that's sustainable. And so wishing them the best of luck going forward. And we are at the middle of the show here, so we'll take a quick break. On the other side, we'll have some quick updates, local happenings as well. So stick around and we will be right back. And welcome back to Hello Westchester. I'm Eric Lambera, joined by Kara Corradoni, publisher of Hello Westchester, which releases every Friday. You can subscribe at hellowestchesterpa.com. So we have some quick updates to get to next. The first one we'll start up with is primary elections next Tuesday, so coming up pretty quickly.
They are, yes. And so if you haven't been paying attention, I know it snuck up on me, but the primary elections are on Tuesday, May 19th. Races include those for governor, several members of the PA General Assembly, including locally District 157. That seat is currently held by Democratic Chris Pielli. However, he does face a Republican candidate challenger in Chris Bullrath. I don't think either one of them has a primary challenge, but those races will be on the ballot. There's also members of the Democratic and Republican county committees that will be running this time around. And if you are going to vote, and you should, there's two polling changes that you should note locally. In Westchester Borough, District 5, if you previously voted at Westchester University's Student Rec Center, Studio A, you're still going to be voting at the Westchester University Student Rec Center, but no longer in Studio A necessarily. So just know you just need to show up at that location. In Westtown, there's actually a more significant change in District 2. If you previously voted at the cabin at Westtown School, you will now be voting at the Advent Lutheran Church on Green Lane. So make a note of those. Obviously, you can find all polling places online if you need them.
Yep. And then I know the deadline was last week to register to vote for this upcoming primary, but that'll be coming up next Tuesday, and hoping for a big turnout. I know the midterms will be a big turnout, but the primary should expect one as well. Let's go over to Horace Pippin Park. Playground upgrade is complete.
Yeah, so this was mostly done over the winter, but now it is completely done. It's on West Market Street, and so they removed the old climbing structure, and in its place, they put in a new climbing structure. It's kind of similar, but there's some new options. There's a cargo net and a mini rock wall, some monkey bar rings and a slide. The borders have been added, and the interior is filled with mulch, and it is ready for play.
Yep, so great news there. Let's move over to two new shops eyeing downtown locations.
Yes, so vacancies don't sit too long here in Westchester. On 104 East Gay Street, that was most recently La Cava Coffee. Now could be the second home to Cutter & Cannon. Cutter & Cannon is a Westchester-based spirit company. They had opened their distillery and tasting room at 210 Carter Drive, or just this year, actually, so earlier, beginning January. They are now looking at opening a borough location, so keep your eyes out for that if you like. They specialize in rum, like local spirits. Also, eyeing downtown is another bookstore. So Leaves and Lore is an independent bookshop with a fantasy focus, and they have leased space at 118 North High Street. That was where the Nightingale Materials craft shop lived for a bit. No opening announcement yet, but work on the new shop is underway.
Oops, so good to hear that. And by the way, as far as Cutter & Cannon, 5 stars on the Google reviews.
There you go.
It's a good start for them. And let's move over to Westchester University celebrating graduation. So a big weekend in the borough.
It was a big weekend in the borough, and I can tell you by Saturday afternoon around 4, it was pretty cleared out, at least at the university I ran by. But they did graduate more than 3,500 students at 17 commencement ceremonies. Graduations began last Wednesday, continued through Sunday, midday. So there was a lot going on there in the university area. I was able to kind of connect with Westchester University about their commencement speakers. There was a trend reported in the Philadelphia Inquirer that some local colleges and universities were moving away from big-name celebrity commencement speakers, and Westchester University was listed as among those using student speakers, but I was able to catch up with Nancy Gaynor, their communications director over there, and she said this is actually not new for Westchester. They moved away from it many years ago, actually. They opted to do away with the large ceremony at Farrell Stadium, and they're doing small, intimate commencement ceremonies, and obviously with 17 ceremonies, you can't expect 17 celebrities, but they do have 17 student speakers, and those speakers are selected by the deans of the colleges.
Yeah, it has been that way for quite a bit. I remember when I graduated, I had it at the Aspen Hall.
Yeah.
And so a bunch of small ceremonies scattered all throughout the weekend. And so congratulations to the Westchester students, over 3,500 graduates last weekend, and moving over to the Hotel Warner under new management.
Yes. So it is being reported that current property management company is being replaced by Extreme Hospitality. According to their website, the father-son team behind the hotel management firm believes that great properties are shaped by the communities around them. They advocate for embedding themselves in the local market to create more authentic guest experiences. This actually, to me, sounds very similar to the approach taken by Hotel Indigo, which I believe is doing quite well for them. So it could be a nice, needed shake-up for Hotel Warner, which I think has fallen a little in the background with Hotel India. Once Hotel Indigo opened up, probably wouldn't hurt to get a little, refresher over there. So Extreme Hospitality currently manages more than 50 properties in 13 states, including 6 in Pennsylvania. So we'll keep an eye on that and see if there's any differences noticed over there at Hotel Warner.
Right, so best of luck to Extreme Hospitality, and as you pointed out, the Hotel Indigo, giving it a little bit of competition for the former Warner Theater site. And so that was the Hotel Warner. Moving next to West Goshen, announcing its paving projects.
Yes, so I know many people are eager for these lists to be announced. We don't have Westchester boroughs yet, but West Goshen residents will soon be able to say farewell to potholes and cracked road conditions. The list of 2026 paving projects is out. It includes 21 roads, lanes, cul-de-sacs, and a few dead ends. That list is posted on the West Goshen Township. You can find it there. Of course, if you get the newsletter, it was listed there as well, if you need specific addresses and streets.
And I know the potholes were a big problem recently.
Yes, I know.
A lot of issues there, and so much needed paving projects. And we had 2 more quick updates, rather. The next one we'll go to is Henderson's academic team winning the state cup.
Yes. Shout out to the Henderson High School academic team. Last Friday, the team of 6 competed in 4 rounds and left the state capitol building as state champions. So good for them. It was a day-long event. It's coordinated locally by the Chester County Intermediate Unit. There were 20 of the state's top high schools competing. So it was an intense competition. Henderson kind of walked away with it this time, though. It had a dominating championship round. They outscored their competitors nearly 2-1, finishing with 110 points. Second place was Wallen-Paulpack. They had 55 points, and Whitehall took third with 50.
Yep, it's a pretty impressive display there. So, yeah, they doubled the second place and more than doubled the third place and ended up being presented with a $2,000 scholarship for that. And so great work from the Henderson academic team winning the state cup. And then the last quick update we had was Westchester University Museum Studies students recreate the Turk's Head Inn.
Yes. So another week, another America 250 reveal. It's going to be the year of the revolution, I guess. But this week, or last week, we looked at the Westchester University's Museum Studies program students recreated the Turk's Head Tavern. This is the saloon that sat at the corner of High and Market Streets. It was the area's preeminent gathering spot during the revolutionary times. This is even before Westchester Borough was an actual borough. It was the place you went to meet, drink, and debate, and now you can do it again at this recreation. In addition to the recreation of the bar, there is exhibits showcasing a variety of items from that time period. It's all located at the Westchester University's Museum of Anthropology and Archaeology, which is located at the old library building. The museum is open to the community, and it's free to visit. So, so it's kind of a cool exhibit if you get a chance to go out and check it out.
Yep, and I've been in that building. I had classes there, and they did have some really cool exhibits at the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure this is the same way. And this says it'll be on display for at least a year.
Yeah, so you have plenty of time. And yes, I went out too and met with the director there and saw some of the earlier exhibits they had, and they really did a very nice job. So high quality work and free, so worth checking out.
And this kind of also ties back to our story earlier because it looks like some of the students that were behind it did graduate.
I'm sure they did.
And so part of the 3,500 that was graduating last weekend, and so the Westchester University Museum Studies student recreating the Turk's Head Inn. And now I know to wrap up, we had a couple of things to look ahead to, a couple upcoming events.
Yeah, actually quite a bit on the agenda looking ahead. It's a busy time of year in Westchester. One thing to note is tomorrow night, May 12th, is Science on Tap Chemistry Edition. We talked about this in earlier edition of the newsletter, but this is the Westchester University faculty and professors share their ideas and research. It takes place at Barnaby's Restaurant, 6 p.m., It's more of a casual look at it, but, grab yourself a beer and learn something new. So that's on Tuesday. On Wednesday, Trails and Tales, the conservation story of Star Farm Park, is taking place at Star Farm Park. That's on Scalp Level Road. That starts at 5:30. Registration is required for that event, so if you're interested, make a note of that. Then on Thursday, the Helping Hands Amazing Race. I only note this because if you've ever happened around downtown Westchester when this race is going on, you always wonder what's going on, and it is many groups dressed in matching T-shirts. They actually reenact the amazing race throughout downtown borough, so if you see it, that's what's going on. That's going to take place from 12 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a fundraiser. Then on Friday, we have our first Gay Street closure event. There will be virtual golf on Gay Street. That's going to take place in front of the post office from 4 to 8 p.m. Also on Friday, American Patriarch is a talk with H.W. Brands. That's a Pulitzer Prize finalist, and he's coming to Westchester to share the inspiring portrait of George Washington. This is a free event, but registration is required. That's taking place at Phillips Autograph Library from 7 to 8:15 p.m. And then this weekend, a couple of big events. We have the Chester County Studio Art Tour. That's taking place on Saturday and Sunday. You get a chance to kind of visit local artists in their natural habitat. Just stop by their studios. Also on Saturday is Westchester Porch Fest, a fun one, and the Community Festival being held by Good Fellowship Ambulance. So lots going on. So
a lot of big events. You mentioned Porch Fest. That'll be 1 to 7, the southwest quadrant of the borough, free local event. And so a lot of things to check out on the calendar coming up. We are out of time. Thank you, Kara. As always, you can get the newsletter, hellowestchesterpa.com, and you can also get the podcast, 953wche.com, and we'll talk to you next time.